Hi everyone! So for my project, I chose to do analysis on the TV show Psych, and a little bit about Psych. It started in 2006 and ran for 8 seasons on USA Network, and it's a comedy / detective show. It's really funny. You guys should all go watch it. So to do analysis, I obviously had to use data, and so these were some of the variables I used. So the start year, which I already mentioned, was 2006. The name of each episode, the season number that each episode was in, the number that the episode was in, whatever season it was. So if there was 24 episodes in a season, it would be 1 through 24 for that season. And then episode number overall, so not just within a season, but in the entire series. And average IMDb rating that voters chose for that episode, and the number of votes that went into rating that episode. And so the first graph that I made was IMDb ratings by season. So on the x-axis is season number, and on the y-axis is average IMDb rating. And I used a box plot because it does a really good job at grouping all these episodes into their season, and you can clearly tell which season is which. And one thing about box plots, in case you're unfamiliar with them, this line here is the median, and then the box, the top of it is the upper quartile range, and the bottom of it is the lower quartile range, and then this line is the range of all the data. So this would be the maximum, this would be the minimum, and all the dots that are outside of the lines are outliers. And so you can clearly see on this graph that there's a parabolic relationship between season number and IMDb rating. It starts around 8, goes up, and there's a slight drop off at season 4, which I found interesting. The storyline might not have been liked as much by viewers, but then the average goes right back up. And season 5 is actually the max median for ratings, and then it just slowly declines until season 8, which actually reaches its minimum. And so the second analysis that I did was IMDb ratings as the series progressed, and this one was more interesting to me just because you can kind of see things that you didn't see in the box plot. And to fit this relationship between episode number on the x-axis and average rating on the y-axis, I used local polynomial regression, or LOS regression. So this basically just allows for a non-linear fit, and if I had used a linear fit, it just would have been this horizontal line. You can't really get much out of that, so this is just better for interpretation. And sorry, there was just a loud noise, but there's clearly still a parabolic relationship here. One thing that I found interesting was that around season 4, there's not as much as of a steep drop off. It looks more flat, and you actually wouldn't really be able to tell by this that the median was so much lower than the ones around it. In fact, some of the highest points on the graph are around season 4, so that was interesting. And one thing I saw was that the maximum actually seemed a lot later in the series. Season 5 would be around where the 75 mark is. It seems more like it's around season 6. But then this drop off is way steeper than it seemed in the last graph, which is also really interesting. And one thing that I also want to note is these outliers at the end. I thought it was cool how all of these ratings around season 8 are pretty much the same, but then this seems to be the second to last episode was clearly not liked by anyone. I can't really remember what was in it, but everyone hated this last episode. It got an awful average, but then the finale is one of the highest points on the graph again, so it just, I don't know what happened there. The second to last episode was awful, then the last episode was great. Everybody loved it. So I thought that was really interesting too. So yeah, that was my analysis on TV show Psych.